Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are currently working towards getting these last few missions completed. So we need to do It Came From Bop, It's Breathable Enough, and Under Pressure. So this is Activated Jet Engine on Lathe. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a different design. We'll have to figure out exactly how we want to do that. This, of course, we can do with our current, weird glitchy rover design. That's definitely something that we can do. So I think we'll just head into the VAB and we'll just launch our existing craft and we're just going to head right on over to Bop. That seems absolutely fine. So let's just load up our Capo Rock here. It's not exactly relevant for that anymore, but you know, it's fine. It's always weird, the placeholders that it uses before it loads in the parts. I don't know why. I just find that very strange. Okay, so we're ready to launch this thing. This is the variant that has struts down here. However, as always, I'm a little concerned about decoupling. So we're going to put this out on the pad, and, we're probably going to have a Kerbal problem, aren't we? I realized that the moment I clicked that launch button. Yeah, I'm betting we're going to have a Kerbal problem here. Are you in the grumble seat? I bet we have a Kerbal in the grumble seat. Yep, we've got a... I think we have one. Valentina? Are you in the grumble seat? Pretty sure she is. Okay, let's head back to the VAB just to be absolutely sure. And let's get our Kerbal set up correctly. I wish it did it automatically, but it does not. It definitely does not put them on inside seats as a preference. I don't know why. It feels like it should. It prefers to put them on outside seats. It's very strange. I have no explanation for that. Okay, so once we get loaded back in here, eventually, there we go. We just need to go into our Kerbal manager. Valentina's not going to be in the grumble seat. Instead, we're going to put them in the Wanderer pod. That makes a lot more sense. Now we're going to launch this monstrosity. We're going to go pretty straight up here for a while, as usual. We know that we're going to have potential issues with decoupling in these first few stages. So let's just launch this thing right on out of here, and let's see how that goes. I'm going to put this onto up as soon as we have first motion here. Okay, now we have first motion. Do we clear the tower, is the next question. Of course, we're on a bit of a slideshow at this point, but that's normal. Okay, fantastic. We are going to clear the tower without any problem whatsoever. Let's just lift this guy straight on up and get into our initial orbit. Of course, we'll have no problem whatsoever hopping over to Bop, dropping off our rover there, hopping back. No issues. Assuming that we managed to have clean detachments. But we have had clean detachments consistently for a while. I'm always concerned about it with this design, though. Always tremendously concerned. But let's just continue lifting this up with our SRBs, of course, turning night into day, and that is fine. We've got about 100 tons of solid fuel in each of these SRBs remaining. We, of course, have large amounts of weight down here. Very, very large amounts of weight. And that's understood. We're just going to hold this attitude until our apoapsis is... Honestly, I want it to be pretty high. About 40 kilometers, I feel like, before we start just hopping over to prograde. Otherwise, we're going to lose control, and we don't want that. That is definitely not something that we are interested in having happen. So this is all looking good for now, of course, but this is not the dicey portion of this liftoff. This is the slideshow portion of the liftoff, and it usually does take a little while. We are traveling at about 160 meters per second at this point, with an apoapsis of 3.5 kilometers. It's not fantastic. We absolutely need to be throwing a lot more fuel into this pro-grade burn here. We are, however, going to be switching over to the prograde marker, and in fact, we could do that right now. We could switch over to the prograde marker here, and that's okay. But that prograde marker is going to change on us quite a bit when we hop over to orbital velocity. So for now, we're just going to continue to go straight up. Our apoapsis is currently about 7 kilometers, about 3 kilometers ahead of where we are right now. Now it's about 8 kilometers, and that's going to start going up a lot faster now that we've built up a reasonable amount of surface speed. Oh, is this a sunrise? So it is. Fantastic. Absolutely excellent. So we burned about half of the fuel in our SRBs at this point, and we're at a 12-kilometer apoapsis. It's looking fine, but not phenomenal. 14-kilometer apoapsis, so we're about twice as high up at this point as our current altitude. We need a lot more vertical speed. 18-kilometer apoapsis as of now. Fantastic. That is, of course, going to be going up faster and faster as our surface velocity goes up. So this is fine. We're just concerned, of course, about detachment. Hopefully, that won't be too bad. 24-kilometer apoapsis, and we are about to break 500 meters per second. There we go. We're 12 kilometers up right now. 36 tons of fuel left in each of these solid rocket motors. 30 on our apoapsis. Okay, I am noting those heat gauges. That is normal. 35 on the apoapsis. We're going to hop over to orbital mode at 40. Okay, there's 40. Let's hop over to orbital mode. We will start pivoting over to prograde here. And hopefully we don't tumble too much. I think we should have this fairly under control, though. Okay, perfect. We're now going to sit here at the prograde marker until our SRBs burn off, for sure. We're going to keep pushing that apoapsis straight on up. We want to punch up through the atmosphere as quickly as we can, but we're going to need a lot of horizontal speed. So the SRBs are just going to continue to propel us here, and we're currently at about 25 kilometers. We should be seeing the atmosphere thinning sufficiently that these heat gauges go away very soon, is the idea. 7 tons of fuel left in the SRBs. Now 5 tons of fuel. Now 3 tons of fuel. We're about to have the SRBs go away, and the question is, are we clear? I'm just wincing every time, but it is indeed clear. Fantastic. No problem there. Our apoapsis is currently 100 kilometers, and I want to take us over to here. And I want to just drop us over to the horizon because we need horizontal speed at this point. I'm not too interested in continuing to get vertical speed. We've got plenty of that. So I'm just going to bring us over towards the horizon here. And we're working on stopping this turn. Okay, we stopped it a little too soon, but now I know about how long it will take us to stop the turn. Noted. Okay, so we're just going to park somewhere around here or so. And we're going to burn here until we're at probably like 250 kilometers for our apoapsis, something like that. I just want to get pure horizontal speed at this point. We have plenty of vertical. We need to be getting lots and lots of horizontal speed. Can also work on fixing our rotation a little bit here. Something about like that. Okay, and let's just burn this direction for a while. We're at 60 kilometers altitude right now. And this seems fine. 1,600 meters per second left in this stage, which in theory is plenty to get us to orbit. In theory. checking in on our apoapsis timing here, we are holding at 232, going up to 233. Okay, perfect. That is absolutely fine. We're just going to continue to get as much horizontal speed as we can. We're now in space. That's perfect. We're at peak efficiency on our engines now. So that is excellent. And we need to get ourselves a fair amount of additional speed here. Nearly a kilometer per second. Not quite, but nearly. And that's fine. So we're currently up to 144 on the apoapsis. That is not going to be going up too much because we need a lot of horizontal speed. 600 meters per second left in these side stages. We are, of course, nearly the entire way to orbit at this point. So 150 kilometers on our apoapsis. We could cut the throttle here, but I think pushing for 250 is fine. That will put us very nearly at orbital velocity, if not in orbital velocity. I don't think it'll put us quite there, though. Our timing is not perfect for that burn. We are, of course, going to be ditching these engines very shortly. In fact, right now, I'm letting us settle a bit and then ditching them. And hoping that this is clean. It looks clean. Beautiful. I mean, we've got the problem solved. I just have PTSD at this point, I feel like. Cool. So we can see here that our apoapsis is still going up reasonably quickly here. Our orbital velocity is barely budging, but that is to be expected. We are currently climbing up towards the apoapsis, so our orbital speed naturally wants to be dropping. But it is going up because we are, of course, applying additional force. So that is absolutely fine. We just want to continue to push that apoapsis up for now. We're currently at about 170-ish, and that'll be fine. If we check in over here, we can see, yeah, we definitely want to continue to get additional horizontal speed. There's no doubt about that. So 171 at this moment, and our thrust to weight is a lot lower at this moment. There's no doubt about that. But this is completely fine for the moment. I mean, we've got 4,000 DV here, not to mention the like 20k DV that we have up here. It's insane how much DV this thing has. It really doesn't matter. So we'll just continue to burn here for now. We see that we're at 175 and holding at 302. Is that going up or down right now? Okay, it's going down. So we're down to 301, but it's going down very, very slowly. So that is a good sign. But that does indicate that we absolutely need to continue to burn right now. We're going to be hitting 180 on our apoapsis soon enough. And our orbital speed is starting to go up a lot more swiftly now, which is expected. But I'm going to bring us over towards the horizon a little bit. We've drifted. So somewhere around here or so is more like what I want it to be. Don't go back to where you were. Just be holding right here. Okay, something like that. Perfect. We're still going down in time to apoapsis right now. We're at 3 minutes to apoapsis. So that is absolutely noted. This is very low thrust to weight at this juncture. No doubt about that. But it's okay. We don't actually care about that at this point. We are absolutely fine. So at 184, I would consider warping this, but warping our burns has been very unpredictable. It's a nice feature if it worked. But it only kind of works. Honestly, that's KSP2 in a nutshell, isn't it? It's a nice feature when it works, but it only kind of works. That's pretty much how KSP2 works. Okay. Our time to apoapsis is going up. That is very, very good. That, of course, means that we're going to push that apoapsis out much more quickly now. I'm going to bring us back over to the horizon. Again, we've drifted a little bit here. And we can see that we are, of course, going over into the dark side. We've crossed the Terminator here. That is fine. Okay, so we're sitting at almost 200 kilometers on the apoapsis. I think I'm going to cut this throttle at 200. I'm not going to push up to 250. Thrust to weight is just a little low for that. Yeah, we'll just push this up to 200 and call it good. That'll be fine. So 197 as of now. We're just continuing to put a little bit more into this. 198. 199. And we'll call it good at 200. Okay. There we go. That'll be fine. Now, at this apoapsis, we want to create a maneuver plan, and we're just going to push this right on out. And we want to get this into orbit, right? I don't really care what orbit. This is absolutely fine. We'll lock to that position, and we'll get turning. We've got, in theory, 3 minutes. Okay. 3 minutes is likely enough time to turn this far, even though our turn speed is going to be slow. 471 means that we're still going to have almost 3,000 dV after making it into orbit. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. What's our resulting orbit going to look like here? 226 and 174. Not perfect. We could adjust the timing there, and that means that we would want to bring this back to be about maybe here? Or is that where it was? 197, 201. That's perfect. That'll be good enough. Okay, so we've got about 2.5 minutes until this burn begins. I would warp this, but we need to turn. So we're definitely going to be working on turning. And turning is a slow process at this stage in the flight of this beast. However, I will say this. In theory, this is the last launch of this beast. In theory. Assuming no other missions crop up that would necessitate use of it. But the other 2 missions that we currently have available, both of those, and actually I just realized we haven't extended our solar panels, both of those missions that we currently have available are going to be custom design. We're not going to be able to use a generic rocket like this one for those. So that'll be interesting, no doubt about it. We're going to have to design a new rocket for both of those, and it's going to be a pretty light payload out to Lathe, for sure, but it's going to be a really heavy payload to Eve. I think there's no real way around that. This game doesn't have ISRU, does it? We would have to plan around not having access to ISRU if that's the case. I don't recall seeing any ISRU in the VAB, so that's potentially spicy. Potentially spicy. So we're just about in position for this burn. We've got about 2 minutes left. That's fine. Let's warp on over. It's just going to be 10x? Okay, close enough. In fact, I'm going to take it to 50x for the moment. Now back to 10x. 30 seconds. 20. 10. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Those are some very long seconds. Okay. That is spicy. So this is going to be about a 1:40 burn to get us into a proper orbit. Like I said, low thrust to weight on this engine. No doubt about that. But we do need to accelerate ourselves up 471 meters per second. Or I might actually target keeping 3000 delta V here. It'll put us in a slightly elliptical orbit, but not much. I think we'll still be in orbit at that point, so that seems reasonably fine. We're now about 8 seconds away from the apoapsis, in theory. In theory. It'll be a little bit further than that, but now about 4 seconds. But again, these are very, very long seconds, so that is not shocking. 1 second away from the apoapsis, and we are at the apoapsis right now and starting to fall back down. Excellent. We've still got about 1:10 on this burn. And I'm going to try warping it. I don't like doing this, really. It appears to be working as expected. Okay. Let's go up to 10x. 50 seconds. 40. 30. 20. Okay. Coming out of warp here. 4, 3, 2. Okay. 2,999. This is good enough. We're going to stop right there. And that'll be good. We are in orbit at this point. And now, of course, we need to launch ourselves away from the sun. We are in a prograde orbit, so that means we want to burn prograde sometime around here, which is only about 2 minutes away. And let's go ahead and get turning to that. We want to do that right away. And at this point, the question is, what orbit does that put us in? Okay, noted. I want to keep bringing this out to be somewhere around here. That'll be fine. 1845 meters per second on that one? Sure. Looks good. So we are busily turning at this point. It will take us a little while to get turned over to that. We've got a minute, almost 2 minutes to get turned, and we don't have very far to turn, so it should be fine. And we'll still have about 1 kilometer per second in this first stage here by the time we get there. So that's wonderful. We have so much DV in this thing, it is insane. Absolutely bonkers, the amount of DV that we have. And we're probably going to launch a very similar craft out to Eve to rendezvous with and potentially act as a tug for our Eve lander. Our Eve lander is really only going to be designed to go down and come back up, right? But it needs to carry 10 Kerbals and have enough DV to get back into orbit, which is like 7 kilometers per second. And I'd want to overbuild it. So it's going to be spicy. We're probably going to need like multiple tugs. One tug waiting at Eve to bring it back, and then one tug to get it there, maybe? I don't know. It's going to be a whole thing. It's definitely going to be a whole thing. Regardless, we're going to get through this burn fairly quickly here. We are just about to our turn position. So that is looking very, very good. However, I feel like this is a reasonable time to put a cut in here. It's a couple minutes early, but that seems reasonably fine. We can put a cut in here, and then we can depart and head off to Bop in the next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy McGar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy Kintogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.